So guys, you saw the thumbnail. I am actually going to show you how to install heated grips on your Harley Davidson motorcycle. Guys, my name is Rick and this is the HDVIBE channel. And today's video, this is unique. I am actually going to show you step by step how to install heated grips on a Batwing fairing, the Street Glide ST, and a fixed fairing, this Road Glide Special. Guys, there's no other video that I can find out there that has this packed into one video. And I will tell you, the video time may look long, but I have chapters. So if you have a Batwing fairing bike from 2014 to 2023, go to that chapter and watch that. If you have a fixed fairing Road Glide from 2015 to 2023, go to that chapter and watch that install. Or if you have both bikes and you're thinking about putting heated grips on either one of those or both, watch both. And actually I would suggest you watch both of those installs because you may pick up something in one or the other that I may have done just slightly different. But at the end result, I've got great heated grips, plug and play. Harley Davidson instructions will tell you need an extra wiring harness for power. You do not need that. So I've gotten that question before. You don't need that. All of the connections are in these bikes, either in the instrument cluster or up in the fairing, and I show you that in detail in this video. So you don't have to get that auxiliary power cord for this application. Now, if you do have other things plugged into those auxiliary power ports that are in these fairings, you may need that. But if you don't need that. Again, these are going to be installs on stock bars. It will work also on non-stock bars. I've done it. I think I did it on a 2015 Ultra that had factory 47, I think 14-inch, 12 or 14-inch bars, and it was a little tight. But watch this video step by step. And also, here's what I ask. I put this content out every week. All I ask from you is you give this a thumbs up, to give it a like, share this with others. If you're thinking about getting heated grips, save this for later when you get those heated grips, and also consider subscribing to the channel right down here. Hit that little button, that really helps out. And when you do subscribe, leave a comment down below saying I subscribe so I can personally reach out and thank you for supporting the channel. So guys, the other thing you will get from this video is you will save 3 hours. That is what my local Harley Davidson dealership charges to put heated grips on these bikes at $150 an hour. That is $450 that you could save by watching this video and doing it yourself. So guys, with that, let's get into the full videos right after this. That's right guys, in today's video I'm going to show you step by step how to install Harley Davidson heated grips on your Harley Davidson touring motorcycle. These are the Empire Collection, which actually run the wires through the bars, so that's probably the most complicated part. But if you watch this step by step video, I'm going to save you 3 hours of shop labor at $150 or $450. So guys, since I'm installing this on a Batwing fairing, the first thing we need to do is actually remove this outer fairing. So as you know, you've probably had your Batwing fairing off before. Pretty simple. 3 screws or 3 bolts right up here holding the windshield, and then you have 2 bolts here on the side, one on the top, one on the bottom that holds this. So once you have those bolts out, you can disconnect your headlight and remove that front fairing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. At this point, before you pull out this last bolt, you just want to make sure you have a hold on your outer fairing, because now once I pull this out, there will be nothing holding it in place. I've got that last bolt out now, so now I can pull this front fairing out and I will disconnect the headlight and the outer fairing is free. So next we're going to remove these 2 acorn style nuts that are on this, holding this turn signal housing on here, and that's going to be a 1/2 inch. So we'll go ahead and remove those and repeat that on the other side. And then we're actually going to disconnect the turn signals so that they're out of the way. So now we need to remove the bolt on this side and the one on the opposite side so that we can take this piece off of here. And these are 9/16. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen those up. one on either side, and we'll move on to the next step. So our next step is we need to loosen these bolts here. These are again 9/16, and what this will allow, once we remove these on both sides, will allow this inner fairing to rock forward just a little bit. Our next step is we need to remove this bolt and the same bolt on the opposite side with a 5/32 Allen so that we can get this housing here that goes around the ignition loose. Go ahead and do that now. As you can see, pretty loose. So I'll go ahead and take that one out, and then I will repeat on the opposite side. So the next step, we actually have to remove the ignition switch. How to do that, it's pretty simple. Put your key in. You're gonna turn this to the lock position. Then you're gonna push down gently on your key and turn it to the left, and there's a little button underneath, and then gently slide this out, and don't lose the spring that's in there. And then set that aside just like that so that you don't mess up your ignition. All right guys, now that I've got this front fairing off, I actually had to dig in here and find my connection. So for the heated grips, you need power. So your power is actually right over here. So if you're looking at the fairing, it's on your right side. If you're looking out from the bike, it's on your left. And it was actually buried kind of back up under here in the fairing, just kind of hanging loose. And it has a dummy plug in it. And then over here on this side, you'll find another one that has no dummy plug in it, but actually has a black and white wire in it. That is actually your crossover that's coming from your throttle side grip. And what we'll do is we'll use both of those connections once I actually get the cabling pulled through the handlebars, and I'll show you that just a little bit later, but I wanted to show you that while I got the fairing off, because this one especially was a little bit hard to find, and it's a powered accessory port specifically for your heated grips. So now that we got the fairing loose and we've identified our connecting points inside the fairing, we're actually ready to start working on these stock grips and taking those off. So the first step to get this clutch side grip off is we actually need to loosen all this housing up. But in order to do that, to get this off and get this grip off, we actually need to remove this trip meter button. So in order to do that, sometimes people, it's a little tricky, but it's not that difficult at all. All you do is just kind of push it up and it'll click like that, and then just gently slide it out, and that's how easy it is to remove that. Now that we've got that off, I've got to remove the bolts here, and then these two. So in typical Harley flat fashion, this is a T25 and these are a T27. Okay, now I've got those completely loose and removed, so now that will allow me to take this plate off. So now that we've got this housing off with the T25s, we'll go ahead and loosen these T27s that are holding the clutch on here. So we'll go ahead and remove these bolts all the way. Just kind of hold this so that it doesn't fall and smash your tank. And as you can see, I've got my tank fully covered, as well as the front fender, just in case something would fall down. I've got that out and loose enough, and I think I'm going to try to leave that one in there if I can. Okay, so I've got that loose enough. I'm actually going to leave that on there so that my clutch lever is not flopping around. So I've got that completely off. So now what we need to do is actually remove this grip. Let me see if I can get it started. When I did this on the Road Glide, the glue actually just kind of let loose, but this one's pretty darn tight. So we may actually have to cut this with the razor blade and begin to peel that off and then clean up all that glue. All right, so I have gone ahead and just kind of sliced this down the middle here with a super sharp knife. And I think I'm going to be able to, at this point, get this to release and pull off. So whatever glue they've used on these 23 model grips is a lot stronger than what I had on my 21, because I was actually just able to twist that grip and break that glue bond. So I'm actually going to try to continue to peel this off. So I got the clutch side grip off, but man, Harley Davidson, whoever was doing the gluing that day when this bike was built, did their job. So now I'm just kind of scraping off this excess rubber from that stock grip. I'll get that all cleaned up and then make sure that it's pretty clean before we actually start to put on the new grips here. All right, so now we're actually ready to begin to put this clutch side grip on. This is actually the one that controls the heat levels. And it goes all the way 1 to 6. I don't think I've ever had mine turned up past the 3. And then obviously you have your connectors that the wiring connectors that we're gonna actually feed through the bars. One thing you need to remember is you do need to pull out this gray plug. I don't believe it's actually in the instructions, but it actually says remove this before installing on the gray plug. So you just take your needle nose, and actually I can just work that off with my hand and pull that out. So again, you do need to remove that before you begin the installation process. All right, so I rock that fairing all the way up as far as I can, and just be careful so that thing doesn't slide down and bash onto your fender. That's the last thing you want to do. But then you'll feel up here in the handlebars, there's actually an opening, and this side actually is going to the left, to the clutch side is fairly open. So I'm going to see if I can feed this trimmer line up in here, which is pretty thick. So I was able to feed that through. So as you can see, I've got on either side. Okay, so now a little trick I'm going to show you. To get this fed through, obviously you need to have these running in towards the middle of the bike as you kind of tape these on. But you want to offset these plugs a little bit so that you don't have too much width kind of trying to go through the bars. And when you do that, you also want to use some pretty strong tape. I actually use like a duct tape or a gaffer's tape so that these don't actually pull through, or this doesn't pull off of these cables as you're kind of pulling them through. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set up, and then I'll show you how I've got that tape together to be able to pull this through the bars. All right, so I'm getting this almost all the way through. The problem is these plugs are actually going past the hole. So what I'm actually going to do is actually use some electrical tape, because this is holding plenty tight, is use some electrical tape to hold these down so that they kind of feed and pull out with the actual trimmer wire. So let me put some of that electrical tape on there and then see if we have better success. All right, now that we've got that electrical tape to the trimmer wire, now I'm going to try and feed this through again and see if we can't get this thing to pull through. Almost there. I see it coming through. So after a little bit of pulling and tugging, I've got this cabling pulled through. Then we'll continue to pull this through and then push this grip to about the position we think it's going to go to. And these, you really have to push to get them in there. I've got my cables pulled through just fine, and I believe I've got it. So because these do have a logo on them, you want to kind of set them at a place, but they'll also be somewhat defined by the notch that's on these. So I think that's about where it's going to go. The Harley Davidson is going to be facing sort of almost directly back to you, and that's typically about where your on-off switch is. So that looks like it's pretty well lined up. Okay, so I've got all the tape off there. Again, so this female side is actually going to go down underneath, under the fairing here, and that has the red and black wire. So that, I believe that is your power. And then this one actually has your black and white wiring in here, you can see. That one will actually feed over here, and that's actually your crossover from this grip over to here. All right, so I got those fed through from the top. So this is the one coming from the grip, and then this is the one that was there already. So that, again, that's your crossover. So you got a female that's coming down that was originally in the bike, and this is the male connector that came from the grip that I just fed through. So we'll go ahead and connect that. So once you get it lined up, you can't really mess it up. They just kind of slide in. Then over here, this is my power. So this is the one that came from the grip that I just pulled through. Again, that's a black and red wire. And then here's the one that was already in the bike, my power. So you got to take that dummy plug out. That's the dummy plug. I just pulled that out. Now we'll take the connector from the grip and press it into that one. And you heard the snap. So now that is all connected. So now I'm finishing up getting the clutch side grip all put back together. So again, I just kind of pushed that all the way in and then reconnected this housing just in the reverse of what I took it off. All right, so now we're ready to start on this throttle side grip, and we just want to loosen these. First, this is the T25s. You got one on the top and one on the bottom. And when you're doing this, you need to be extra careful on this side because this is hydraulic, your brake, so you don't want to get any air in that line. So you need to be super careful with that. So we're going to go ahead and take these completely out so that we can get this front housing off of here just like we did on the clutch side. Okay, we got that housing, the front plate off of there, so that reveals this throttle side switch pack. So now we got to loosen these. And again, I think I'm going to try to just loosen this so I can get enough to just pull this throttle off of here. Again, these are the T27s. I'm going to see if I can just get this loose enough to release this so that I can pull that grip off. And again, this is your throttle by wire, so there's going to be, obviously this is your throttle, so there's no glue on that. So as you can see, that just comes right off. We're really ready now to begin to prepare this for the heated grip. So right here on the end of this grip, you'll see there's this black plug. I'm actually going to take my screwdriver and just gently pry that out. And as you can see, that released pretty simply. So now that I pulled this plug out, that reveals the plug-in actually for the heated grip. All right, so we have the heated grip, and the one thing we need to do is we need to actually pop this end cap off. You might not be able to see in the camera, but there's some indents there, so we need to pop that off because that will reveal the actual plug that will go into the grip here on the throttle by wire to essentially make this heat. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that off. So I was able just to pop this off with my thumb and just pressing it out. And there you can see there's the prongs inside of there that will actually plug into this. So now I've gone ahead and slid the grip on all the way. I've lightly tightened the switch pack and the brake lever onto there so that the grip is tight. So now I need to actually connect the heating element here. So I need to get it into those prongs. As I showed you earlier, this green wire needs to kind of go down and to the left and the orange wire up and to the right to get this lined up right. So this is a little tricky, so I'm actually going to do this off camera. We'll use a needle nose and I'll just kind of gently push that in there and then make sure that I get it lined up and then push it into place. All right, so I've got everything adjusted. So you can see my throttle snapping back nice. I can roll it forward. I could snap it back. So now I'm actually ready to go ahead and put this cap back on. You just align it the way it was before and just gently press it into place. And there you have it. So now the throttle side grip is ready. So now that we got both grips on, they should be ready to go. But before I do that, I've got to put the fairing, the outer fairing back on. I've got to connect everything here, the ignition switch and all those sort of things. So I'm not going to bore you with that. It's essentially just the reverse of the process that we did taking it apart. So I'm going to put it back together. Then we'll come back and check out these grips and make sure they're working. So that's it, guys. I got the heated grips on. I got the fairing all back on. I got everything buttoned up and I tested the grips and they heated up just fine. No problem whatsoever. That's right, guys. I'm going to be showing you how to install Kahuna heated grips on your Harley Davidson touring bike. So pretty basic. At a high level, what we need to do, we need to remove the stock grips, we need to remove the instrument cluster, we need to feed wires through the handlebars, get it all connected, and then get everything hooked back up, and then we should have heated grips. So before I started the video, I actually went ahead and removed this part here. And this part is actually the cover that goes in between the ignition switch and this cover underneath here for all your switches. And really, it's pretty simple. I used a 90-degree pick you push this in, you turn your ignition all the way to the run position, you push that, and then you just kind of slide this out. I've gone ahead and covered up the tank. I would highly suggest you put something over your tank so that you don't get a scratch, a dent, or a ding. But again, there's a T25 right here. I'm not sure how good the camera's picking up, but there's one here, there's one on the other side of this. So I'm just gonna loosen these up. That should then release this instrument cluster, and we'll see what's behind that. So now I've got both of those screws out of this instrument cluster, so let's pick this up and see what we got here. So there you can see, now you can pull this instrument cluster out, and if you want to remove this completely, there's just a couple of connections, one here for the speedometer, the tachometer, and then there's some, I think, dummy connectors under here for these auxiliary switches that are actually on this housing. So I'll go ahead and loosen those so then I can actually just remove this whole instrument cluster. So now that I've gotten the instrument cluster off, I've disconnected some of the connecting points like this for some of the auxiliary switches. This was the connecting into the speedometer, odometer. You need to look for two connectors. They should be here. I think they are on all the bikes. They're pre-wired. So one, you need power for the grips. So that is going to be this connector that's sitting loose in here. It has a black and white wire. That's your auxiliary power, which will be powered by the bike, so that you don't leave, if you leave those grips on, they're not going to be draining the battery because this is going to turn off with the bike. And then the other one, which is you probably can't see, it's a little bit buried in here, but there's another connecting point. You have to kind of dig around in here. This is a purple and black wired connector, which is the one that actually leads and will tell the grip on the other side to go ahead and heat. It also has a dummy plug in it, which you'll need to pull that out before we can actually connect everything. But now we're ready. This is all open, so this was pretty simple. So now we just need to take off the grips. So removing the grips is pretty straightforward. You're gonna need a T25 bit. On this housing, there's a bolt here and a bolt on the bottom, so we need to loosen that to begin to loosen this up. We may need to also loosen this bolt and this bolt, which are also T25s, and that should then allow me to open this up so that I can pull off this left grip. Okay, so I've gotten the faceplate of this switch pack off by taking those two screws out. Now I'm going to loosen this screw and this screw, which will then release all of this, and then we can begin to get this grip off. Okay, so I think I'm actually going to get lucky. I started spinning this grip, and whatever little bit of glue started breaking loose, and as you can see, it's coming off nice and clean. So now we've got the stock grip off, and now we're really ready. We can start feeding wires through the bars and to come out up here where we had removed that instrument cluster. So before I start actually running these cables through the handlebars, so you've got two connectors, obviously two wires coming off of the heated grip itself, and this is the Kahuna Heated Grip. So this is the side with the temperature control, which will go on the left side of the bike. So the smaller connector has black and white wire, which will actually connect into this black and white wire connection point that we found underneath the cluster here. And then this other one is the purple. I think it's got a purple and red instead of purple and black. But that will go into this other connecting point that again is the crossover to get over to the right side hand grip so that it heats up as well. The other thing that's not in the instructions that you do need to remove is this gray plug that's in here. So I don't know, it's not in the instructions. It just says on here, remove before installation. So if you don't remove that, obviously the handlebar is not going to slip far enough into this grip to actually get it up onto the bars properly. So just use your needle nose plier and carefully pull that plug out. So I'll go ahead and get that plug out, and then I'll show you the next step of how I'm going to get these wires fished through the bars to get up to these connections. So I've gotten this fed through. Again, it was pushing and sort of pulling, and as you can see, I've got this. And what I ended up doing is actually putting both of them on the same line. I offset the two plugs a little bit, and then I put on this front portion actually some duct tape so that that would stick, so that this fishing line wouldn't pull through. So now what I can do is go ahead and remove all of that. I've got this set, the hand grip set, up on the handlebars, and it's about in the right position. This Kahuna Harley Davidson, this Harley Davidson emblem needs to be about facing to the rider, but I'll get that all lined up at the end. But so now I've got these, I'm going to remove all this tape and I'll just connect those, and then we'll start over on the right hand grip. Now that I've gotten these pulled through, I'm going to go ahead and connect them. Again, the one connection has a black and white wire, and there's only one way to connect this, and you connect that with the wire coming from the hand grip that has black and white, and you just get it lined up. And this one sometimes is a little difficult pushing in. We got that in there. And then this one, actually, I believe it has a purple and red, and then this actually has black and red. So this one is kind of jammed in here and doesn't give you a lot of room to work. But we're gonna do our best here and see if we can't get this pushed in. A little tough getting the angle here, but I'll go ahead and get that pushed in, but it's basically just connecting that. And then once I get both of those connected, then I'm going to go ahead and show you how to replace the right side hand grip, and then we'll get this all buttoned up. We should be ready to go. So now that I've got everything buttoned up on that side, I've got my wires pulled through. I reconnected everything, basically just reassembled as you disassembled. I'm ready to use my Torx bit now, and I'm going to loosen this housing first here and see if I can just get this to slide off without having to just disconnect all this. So we'll see what we got here. So now that I've gotten these loosened up, I can pull this housing off. And now I will need to loosen these two bolts, these Torx bolts here, so that I can actually then get this to release the throttle here. So I didn't have to completely take this off. I just loosened it, and now I'm able to get this off. So again, this is throttle by wire. You can see here, this is where the throttle actually will operate and catch these spines here. So now we are ready to install the heated grip to replace this stock grip. So before we begin to install the heated grip on the throttle side, you'll see this black plug. So what that is in this throttle by wire connection here is the protector for the pin plug that the heated grip needs to plug into. So we need to get that out. So I think I will pry this out with my screwdriver, like so. And that just gets that little cap out of there. And then that reveals the pins with which that the heated grip will actually plug into it. So the heated grip will slide on like this, and I've popped this end cap off, and you'll see there's a plug inside of there. I don't know how well the camera will pick that up, but you basically need to get your needle nose plier, kind of pull that out. Prongs on this plug will actually go into the socket in here. So we need to get that pulled out, and then once we slide this on, we'll plug that in, and then I'll pop the cap back on. So now I'm ready to install the heated grip. So I've got my plug out that'll go into the socket here. You want to get your logo oriented in the way that you have it over on the other side. So I have it about at this point aiming at me, because once you slide this in, obviously this won't turn anymore. So you want to get that oriented properly. If you don't get it on the first shot, not a big deal, but as you can see now it's catching, it's snapping back. Obviously I don't have it tightened, so I think that's a pretty good orientation. And then what we need to do is get this plug plugged into here, which is going to be a little tricky, but I think with the needle nose I'll be able to get that in there. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then we'll be able to start wrapping everything up. So I've gotten this grip on. Just make sure once you get on, make sure you are getting a good snap back. I've gotten this all tightened back up and aligned. I might need to readjust a little bit to make sure I got this lined up properly, top to bottom. The only thing I haven't done is pop this little cap on the end here. getting that in there, the plug was a little challenging. Just with your needle nose and a little patience, just try to get it lined up. You can kind of see the angle. Pop that in there, so once you catch it, it goes right in. So I reconnected everything on the instrument cluster, and now I'm just kind of getting it lined up here. And then again, I'll just put in the 2 Torx screws, one here on this side and one on that side, and that basically holds that down. And then we need to slip that little horseshoe bracket that kind of goes here, that goes underneath the ignition switch, and then we'll be ready to go. So this is the last piece that I've got to put in. I've got the cluster in. Again, it was just those 2 screws. So now you just kind of slip this horseshoe piece in here, and there's actually a little tab on here that you push in, and you just have to make sure, be careful so you don't break that. But I will get my pick and push that in, and then get that up and over the this plastic piece here, and then that will be locked in, and we're all buttoned up. So guys, that's it. That's how you install heated grips on a Harley Davidson touring motorcycle, and specifically I showed you how to do it on the Road Glide. Pretty easy process. You watch this video, you can do it yourself. I would say from start to finish, if I wasn't filming this, I probably could have done it on the Road Glide in probably about an hour and a half. That's it, guys. 2 complete installs, both on a Batwing fairing and a fixed fairing of heated Harley Davidson grips, plug and play, no extra auxiliary cord necessary. As you saw, everything was in these fairings for this installation. And if you watch this and you do this yourself, as I mentioned at the onset, you will save yourself 3 hours labor, $450 by just watching this free HDVIBE video. Guys, with that, I want to leave you with this thought. Life is short, get out and ride the bike. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.